I hear the crystal raindrops fall on the window down the hall.
Welcome to Áras on Uachtaráin. On this most magnificent day, it is Family Day here at the Áras, and like yourselves, I've been running amok and enjoying the place entirely.
When she goes, I go all along the banks of the Royal Canal.
Agni cór, cuireann sé san down or am hain, as ar me bhain céile saibhín fiorcín fóilte ar ó bhéile go Áras an Uachtaráin. Agus tá cosúlacht ar an scéal go bhfuil si bheith buint teanamhas an lá, agus is ionach an rád sin. Tá a thorbheith sósta lei sin. Cá mé aithre beagaí dhéanamh ar a méad a bhíle rám. May I just say, first of all, as has already been said, how welcome you are to Áras an Uachtaráin. Sabina and I are so pleased when we have the opportunity of meeting people from different backgrounds from all parts of the country who come here for their garden parties. And it has, as I said in Irish, on Cosúlach there, it has the appearance of that you're all having a very, very enjoyable time. And indeed, as the Banatee might say, you will, you will, you will. You deserve that. We are so fortunately we have to have a fabulous MC for this evening. But first of all, may I say there are a few things. This is a very special garden party in a way. I must first say on a personal note, it's one of the first times when all of us siblings from the Higginses are all together in the one spot. My sister Sally has made it over from Manchester. Sally would have gone to England with her sister Kathleen around the year 1958. Kathleen has travelled up from Shannon, so John, my brother, is watching out to make sure that Clare, in fact, make their way to the semi-final. But it's the first time that all four of us were together for a very, very long time. And it's something very, very special. And I'm so pleased that Sally was accompanied by her daughter Karen and Karen's husband Lee. Sally's husband Roy is with them. So you had Sally and Roy, Karen and Lee coming to join us on the ferry yesterday. And I'm delighted that they're with us this afternoon. Fiorcín fóilte, I so welcome you. Kathleen, as I said, is accompanied by her daughter Bernie. And John is accompanied by his wife Maureen. And as I just said, so it's very rare I have the opportunity, since I became president a few years ago, to be able to welcome all my family to one of these. And I do very sincerely want to thank Paul McLean for that wonderful, generous introduction to Sabina and I. And I should tell you that Mishnik currently has 3.7 million hits, I think, from that. So he's doing very well. But he's got overcome by coolness of shyness, and he's reserving himself for passing the 4 million, at which he says he may make an appearance. But I have to say that you are all so welcome from all the different circumstances in which you have come. I'm so pleased to see so many children here, and so many people from different parts of Ireland. And to those of you who have travelled long distances, thank you for making the effort. And it's so good to think that Áras an Uachtaráin, the home of Irish presidents since 1938, is open and free to you all, the gardens and the house, and to say, and that you should enjoy it. We give each of the garden parties a particular theme, and this theme this afternoon is about the redefinition of the family. We're delighted to welcome people from across society on our island to celebrate families and loving relationships in all their beautiful and glorious diversity. And our hope is that in your day-to-day walking around the house and the gardens and the Áras and Uachtaráin will help make beautiful memories for you. One of the themes of the presidency, indeed, as Bon has said, is that participation and transformation. And that has been and it remains one of the main aims of my presidency. The promotion of a more inclusive society is an aspect that I sought to be a cornerstone of my work. And I think it is something that constitutes very much what Sabina and I have stood for a long time. We will have been married for 50 years in about a week's time, which is a half century. But in all of the people we have met in our different lives, one thing we were both convinced of, and indeed, and that is very much in relation to Sabina's background in the theatre as well, is that everybody has a valuable contribution to make, and that society is strengthened when it supports and is shaped by a diversity of experiences and perspectives and opportunities féideartacha offered to people. Now, achieving that means that regularly we make correctly requirements of the state, but it is assisted and prodded in the right direction by so much good voluntary efforts. And I do want to thank all the voluntary associations, some of whom are represented here this afternoon. I think, for example, of As I Am, Ireland's autism charity. Charity is dedicated to making our society a more inclusive and accepting place. And As I Am has worked with members of the Áras to create, just for today, the beautiful sensory space on the grounds near the marquee for any person who may wish to take time out. Some of week's lofuishe. And we have some very special guests who are part of our life here at the Áras. I want to take the opportunity to welcome a previous visitor to Áras and Uachtaráin, Ian McDonough, his wife Ciara, and their new baby Martin Joe. Ian was the first person from the travelling community to be represented in the Young Scientist competition in 2017 and won a prize for his project, a scientific investigation of the cures and folkways of the Irish traveller. It's a most important piece of work. And later he was a guest here in the Áras, and may I say how delighted I was to introduce him to people who were by then travelling under the names of Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall, now King Charles and Queen Camilla, who are, I understand, are at Royal Ascot. During their 2017 visit to the Áras, they asked to meet young people, and Ian was one of the people that they met, and he's a Van Keller. Here this afternoon, too, is a friend of very many years, Muireann O'Brien, who joins us this afternoon along with her daughter Shona, son-in-law Hassan, and grandchildren Africa and Alva. And Muireann was husband of Colm, my former advisor and former director of the Arts Council, and of so many other things in the arts. But above all, he was for me not just an advisor, but a valued and close colleague in all that I was seeking to do as Minister for Arts, Culture and the Gaeltacht between 1993 and 1997. And of course, there's the volume about his work is now available, put together by Muireann, and he sadly passed away in 2020. But all of those who were lucky to have known Colm dearly miss him and his legacy in the arts and in arts education in all areas of culture in Ireland, and it continues to live on. To say that he was a colourful presence is indeed a description of his sartorial choices, but it is also a description of those meetings which many public servants used to refer to, that the minister was calling on Mondays when we'd be discussing. People described it, said, when is this whirlwind ever going to stop? It isn't slowing, and I'm going to fall off, and so. But that was the energy which he had, and so forth. And I miss him very much as a friend, but I also try to pay tribute to him, as very much I do to all those who work together. Very small team, well, Chris O'Grady and others, when we were pushing together our work on film. I think as well, there is a special group of people that I wanted to meet, and that was Louise Kilmurray and Gemma McGowan and their young families. Their uncle was killed in Talbot Street on the day of the bombing, and I think their uncle, together with his wife and their 2 children. So earlier this year, on the 17th of May, I spoke in Dublin and in Monaghan to the families directly, in which family terrible events in which 34 people were killed. But Gemma McGowan, John O'Brien, their uncle, and with his wife Anna and their 2 young children, Jacqueline and Marie, were killed on Talbot Street. And I'm just so pleased that you're able to join us this afternoon. I think, speaking of family life, I think it is very much an interesting something that falls off the pages of some journals rather easily. Really, around the beginning of my own life in politics in 1974, one of the very first pieces of legislation, I was invited by John Horgan and Mary Robinson to co-sign with them an attempt to abolish the status of illegitimacy. It got 11 votes out of 60 in the Irish Senate, which will tell you the atmosphere of the time. Indeed, it was described by one of the most distinguished senators, Alexis Fitzgerald, who said what Michael D. and others are proposing is little less than socialism under the sheets. I think that, thank everybody who has achieved the great change in the definition of the family. Family life is greatly important, as is a generous and inclusive definition of that. So the evolution of the unit in Ireland and its journey towards inclusivity and equality has not been without challenges, as I have said. Today, we're now perhaps on our way to being a more compassionate and diverse place, and where achievable to us is a version that embraces an ever more inclusive concept and understanding of what it means to be experiencing a loving family relationship. I would be very inauthentic if I didn't say, I know as I speak there are those who are demonstrating, and they are demonstrating about the latest expression of an appalling act of violence. We have a continuing issue of violence, and particularly violence directed against women. And women's AIDS figures from last week of 40,000, 34,000 calls, and then 8,000 when it's adjusted. Our contemporary, I think what we have to do, and it is very important, is to say that to look at every detail of the source of that violence, including the language that we allow in discourse, the quality of the communications that we allow in the social media. And as well as that, it is just horrific that internationally, globally, the particular violence addressed against women is of global concern. And I think in the last 3 years alone, there have been 21 women who have been killed by male aggressors. All of this can be changed when language is changed. I think when our contemporary society, now recognizing and celebrating families in all their diverse shapes and sizes, including lone parent families, blended families, same-sex parents, extended families, that gives, as far as I'm concerned, the greatest moral inclusive definition of the family. Each unique configuration encompasses the many different forms that can make up a loving and supportive family unit, reflecting the diversity of love, care and support that is manifested in the essence of relationships. This progressive inclusion and definition is, I think, a testament to those brave women and men who gave leadership in building what might be our collective commitment to building a society where everyone, regardless of their background, circumstance or identity, is valued and respected. I actually often think when I was running the seminars on Mockness 1, Mockness 2, that somehow or another I was coming to miss what was one of the most important part, and it was the 1923 Land Act and the 1924 Commission on Agriculture that followed it. And there was in a curious way in which land, its ownership, followed by property and its importance, began to quench so much in sensibility and capacity of people to open their hearts to the other. We are at a stage now where everything is being redefined, has to be, if we are to be responsible for the sustainable development goals, to save the planet, to do things differently, new connections between economy, ecology and justice. But I do think we had that thing that made us stop speaking and caring and relating and loving each other, because we were doing a count of what we had and what others might have and what want. I think we're putting it behind us. And that's why in many cases, young men, for example, are more involved in the rearing of their children. People are attaching more importance to time in relation that is necessary for to have proper loving relationships. And I think that new kind of kindness which circumstances force on offers us a great capacity for the future. We live in an interdependent world, and we think of the challenges in crisis, so we have to remember that we are members of a global family, and we have to let ourselves open for all the grief that is necessary for those families displaced by war, particularly wars that could have been avoided, conflicts, natural disasters, famines that need not have taken place, climate change, and families whom I know are grieving not for the loss of a single member, but as, for example, in the case of Gaza and Sudan, for entire families and everything that was associated with their families, homes, schools, hospitals, landscapes, and children root among the rubble of a conflict that should and must be stopped. At the heart of every family unit, may I say, because it's easily said, but important to achieve, is an unconditional love and care and an acceptance of each other, as yes, unique with our own gifts, but also as sharing family members. In recognizing and valuing each person's unique qualities, we create a supportive and loving atmosphere where everyone can flourish, an environment where differences are embraced and celebrated. And family relationships do require continuous nurturing and understanding. They have to be tended with care and attention if they are to thrive, and that means taking time to listen, to communicate openly and to support one another through life's ups and downs. And it means acknowledging our imperfections and striving to grow together in love and respect. In doing so, we build a foundation of trust and mutual respect that sustains us through the challenges of life. It helps us all to resolve conflicts and the development of social skills. I think that might be easily said, but we are far from achieving a satisfactory, widely accepted acknowledgement of it. And therefore, that's why I think, in a way, we just, every now and again, have to allow ourselves moments of reflection as to ask us in relation to the language that we use, allow in every circumstance of the necessary for stopping what must be stopped quickly before it evolves and becomes accepted. And also as well as that of realizing, of being able to deal and deliver our justice, not just with correctness, but with the empathy and compassion and consideration that everybody deserves. Summer has been reminding us has arrived, and it is a special time for families of warmth and togetherness, marking the arrival of longer, brighter, warmer days. I know that down in, as he would put it himself, Grand Canyon deep in spirituality, they're celebrating John Moriarty's first festival. And I think what he reminded us in all of his work was about what a great cure there is there in restoring your relationship with nature, of allowing nature to tell you of her power of resilience and of finding and making connection with that power of resilience in yourself. So I hope altogether, however you're going to experience the summer, be it in a picnic or a park or a day, be it whatever, or a visit to the neighbouring zoo, whatever, this simple or complex gatherings you may have, those moments of connection and sharing are the buildings of strong and enduring relationships. I wish you well, Gwynroch Agus Arbanach, Lushuddar Fod, that they may create lasting, treasured memories for you this year. I also hope that your visit here today may become part of that. And I want to just finally say that everything we're experiencing today is made possible by the staff at Áras and Uachtaráin, including their culinary skills. And they make all of this possible by their work. And I think I want to say, let's give them a round of applause, first of all. We're also assisted by our friends in John of God's, the Office of Public Works, the Gardaí, our civil defence and tour guides, and all over. They all put it together. And thank your good self as well. I agree with you very, very, very much, because I'm coming to the end anyway. I want to thank Pauline McLean for doing such an excellent job chairing proceedings. You already will have heard pianist David O'Connor. The Ukulele Collective are helping us. Members from Flacchiol, Loch Gorman, Niamh Landale, Amos McCauley, Vintage Boombox, Cardinals, the wonderful, incomparable Imelda May will be here. And then, for those of you like myself will remember it, a punk band, the Gurriers, then you have, of course, as well, the Franzini brothers, the balloon modelers from Silly Billy events, and they have all helped lift all of our spirits. So, Malfuckle Skirl, as we celebrate families in all their diversity today, let us continue to be willing to embrace the innovation, opportunity, and creative energy that diversity brings, and that can make our nation so vibrant by working together to allow us to live in a society that ensures the well-being of all of its members in harmony with Mother Nature and in the fullness of their possibilities in the Féidirachtaí Iliog, creating a brighter, inclusive, compassionate Ireland where all families can achieve fulfillment, experience love, and have some joy. And I wish each and every one of you a joyful and fulfilling summer. Buontiana Asantranona, Mabuikas Arab Iliog, Dom Tau Kia Gakra to make a shulapi. Thank you, Garba.